to stand here today, Father, and to give the things to the people that you have spoken to my and that you would speak through me, Lord. Everything that is said, that it would bring you and this right thing. And we not more of a feedback. The love
unified community. What is community? What if we looked at this as community? It's like, okay, we go to the fairs, right? We do that. We do the Bible school outreach. We do the parade. We're in the community. We're out there. We're putting ourselves outside the four walls. But that's not just what he wants. Miss Becky, is that your phone? You have a phone ring? Okay. Miss Becky's on call, so if the phone rings, y'all just ignore it. But community. And he began to speak to me. And when Ansley went to Georgia and to Haiti, she said, I really love living in community. She loved living in the place where all those people were. I would hate that, y'all. I'm so glad that as of yet, the Lord has not called me to go and live in a place where I have to live with a bunch of strangers. And do that because that's not me. That's not my personality. I love being with people, but I don't love being with strangers. And that's one thing that she talked about so much was she missed living in community. And so when she came back, she was like, I miss community. I'm like by myself, and I don't have all these girls that I've been with, and I need to find people that I can build community with and go on. And so, we've talked about that for months, and we just kind of let it go. But a couple weeks ago, I was saying that Jake and Alex were at the house, and Alex said something to me. In passing, we were loading the dishwasher after supper, and we were just kind of talking, and she said something to me that struck me, and the Lord was like, oh. Those moments where it's all of a sudden like, you think about it, you hear about it, but then sudden revelation comes, and it's like, oh my gosh, I get it. Why did I never see it this way before? Why did I never think of this way? And she was talking about community and building community within their church and within their family, and how the Lord had been using her, and how she enjoys to get a mom or get a friend or get a girl from their church that's new, or find someone and go out for coffee, or take the kids to the playground and meet up together and have play dates. Or, she was like, well, so-and-so's coming to our house for dinner one night. They were at our house for dinner that night. Okay? Building community. And the Lord began to just absolutely just shine this light for that. It has rocked my world the past couple weeks. And that's what the whole thing is for today, is community. And I was studying my word and praying for the scripture that he wanted. And he began to show me this cool little diagram that I hadn't done since I was in English class a long time ago. And I thought, that is so cool. I love what it was visual. Anybody else a visual learner? I don't read and learn. Like, I don't read the instructions and just put it together. Show me how to put it together. Show me how to cook the meal. Let me do it with you, and I can do it, okay? But I'm not a read the directions and do it kind of girl. So when the Lord began to show me And I began to draw it out. It all made so much sense. And so I want to share with you today. We are going to Acts chapter 2. I gave Dalton 44 through 47, but I'm going to back up just a couple verses. I'm going to start at 42. So he'll start on verse 44 there. And in chapter 2, the day of Pentecost had just come. The Holy Spirit had just been poured out. The 120 were gathered together. And Peter had just preached a big old sermon after the day of Pentecost, and 3,000 souls were saved and brought into the kingdom. And in verse 42, it starts and it says, the topic here, the theme in my Bible says, a vital church grows. Okay? It starts in verse 42. It says, and they continued steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine and fellowship, in the breaking of bread and in prayers. Then fear came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were done through the apostles. Now all who believed were together and had all things in common, and sold their possessions and goods and divided them among all as anyone had need. So continuing daily with one accord in the temple and breaking bread from house to house, they ate their food with gladness and simplicity of heart, praising God and having favor with all the people. And the Lord added to the church daily those who were being saved. And I began to think, and I was praying and asking the Lord for this scripture. What do you want me to say? I know what you're showing me. How do I convey this? How do I get my thoughts all in order? Blake takes medicine for ADD, and I'm sure he probably gets it from his mother. Getting my thoughts all in order like that is absolutely chaos sometimes, because I'm like, oh, here's my thought, and I had a scripture, but the phone rang, and then I'm everywhere. And so I'm weeks praying for one message or for one thing, because I'm like so scattered, and I have to get everything together in one place. But I was cleaning the house the other day, and the Lord started saying, they broke bread, and they gave everything that they had so that they could be together. And they were together. And they were together, and they were together. And the scripture just started to download in my spirit. And so I began to look up community. Because community has so many different definitions. If you look at your neighborhood, okay, who lives in the neighborhood? Kate and Josh live in the neighborhood. I was thinking Haven Heights. That's what I'm thinking of this way. You know, you have your little neighborhood. So community can be outside the walls. So if you're in Point Pleasant is your community, right? You live in the community. Pleasant Valley, I'm sure, always has stuff about working in the community, and Becky, I'm sure, hears it there. But then, you know, you've got Kate and Josh who live in Meadowbrook. That's their little community right there, okay? So you've got community within community, and then you've got this. Well, then their community may not even know the ones that live on this side of the neighborhood. Maybe they just know the people that live on Maple Avenue. And they have a little community there. You know, you have community block parties. You have community events, okay? The people, we were talking at College Hill the other night, they always had a community thing at AXO when we lived in Galveston Ferry that we would go to in the fall, and they had a big cookout and hayride and all this stuff. So you have community here. We understand that concept of community. We understand going out into the community and taking our fans to the fair and our bodies of water. We get that part. What we don't understand is how to make community within inside us and within inside our group to build the kingdom. It's not so vast that kingdom work has to be, we go to New Haven, we go to Point Pleasant, we go to all that. We do that, and we need to, but it's not when we think community that we have to go outside and just spread the gospel to 1,000 people and we've done our job. We've taken the gospel to the community, because that's not what the Lord, I believe, has us in this season of community. He began to deal with me, and the definition of community, one of the definitions, is a group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common. Okay? A group of people. If you're a group of people, raise your hand. Are you a group of people? Apparently, Ansley. Okay. Are you a group of people? We are a group of people, right? Okay. This side is a group of people with inside a group of people. Okay. So here I am with my little cool diagram that the Lord starts showing me. Here is my circle. That's my circle. This is me. This is my community. My community immediately is going to include my husband and my kids and all the extra kids that we have and the extra kids. Listen, I'm starting to feel old. I know I'm not. Please don't get offended if y'all are older than me and I say I'm starting to feel old, because I don't mean you are. I just feel that way. I'm at this strange season. Hi, Jackson. I'm at this strange season of my life where we were at the outlets yesterday, and Kate and I had come out of Under Armour. We had bought stuff in there, and we found Josh, and she's like, "Hey, where's Brad and the kids?" And I was like, "My kids are at home. Where are my kids?" And she's talking about Ansley and Logan. I was like, "Oh my goodness. Okay, yes, the kids." I'm like, "There's so many levels of kids now. I can't even keep up because they're just all our kids. We don't think about them that way." But my community, my immediate community that I'm building, the one that I'm immediately building on, is Brad and my kids. Okay? That's our first community. That's where the first part of things should be, where I am ministering, where I am praying, where we are breaking bread together, where we are working together, doing things for the kingdom, getting out there and putting ourselves out to work. But then you have a community that intersects here. That's our church. And so they're in the church bubble, right? That's a community and how we are supposed to be together, and we're supposed to have that. But then outside that, we have ladies group. And that's a community. Okay? And then when y'all have men's group, that's community. You have to build. What the Lord is wanting, and I really feel like He's saying, is one of the things that Alex was talking about was how she ministers, like she's been talking to like 6 different women. And she's like, there's 6 different ladies that I regularly meet up with, have coffee with. You know, that girl's busy. She works. She has Sylvie and Ian, and they are a full-time plus full-time plus full-time job. I know. I have them on Tuesdays. They're full-time. Okay? But she is so kingdom-minded right now that she's like, how can I minister? How can I be part of this? How can I reach out and still serve the Lord and serve my church, who is encouraging me to make community, but still be a mom to my kids, but still have time with my husband? So what they're doing is opening up their house and inviting people over for dinner. They are opening up times where she's taking time in the afternoon to go, where she's already going to take her kids to play, and meeting up with other young mothers and ministering to them there. Okay? That's where we're at. That's what the Lord is calling and commissioning us to, I believe, in this season, is a season of community building. And being that place where you can minister right here. So when Dale and Karina are at their house, and Brian and Diana and their kids are there, and as their family expands, they have community right there. But then when they're together, and they're with Mike and Lola, and they begin to group together that way, and they have dinner together, that's community that they're building. Your community is not just one. It intersects everywhere. I've got a group chat that I'm in. That's all the Plunder girls that I'm with. And some days we talk about jewelry, and other days we talk about how our kids are driving us crazy and our husband won't leave us alone. And it's community. It's not a gossip fest, right? It's not a gossip fest. It's not start a community and call every group that you're in, come to the ladies group and gossip about everybody else that was down the road and how you saw them messing up this week, or talking about your husband and what a failure he is, or your wife and what a failure she is, to the ones at the men's group, because that's what you want. You want to complain and feed into each other's negativity. That's not what we're getting at. It says that they broke bread and they went from house to house and they were together and they sold everything that they had to meet the needs of the community. And souls were added to the kingdom daily. The kingdom grew daily. And I began to look. If you look, Brad was talking about Jesus having the 120 at the end. He started with 12. He started with him. That's it. That's it. If you had only picked one other person, if only one of those guys would have come and said, okay, I'm game. If it was just him and John, he and John could have went out and tackled the world. It didn't matter the number. It's not about, and don't get me wrong, don't project me saying, oh, she's saying we have a small church, we have to stay a small church. That's not it. We can be a church of 5, we can be a church of 50, we can be a church of 500 or 5,000. But no matter what, we still have to have this right here. And every last little circle that's around us. Because that's how we build community. That's how we build the kingdom. We are at a mindset, at a place where we're like, okay, well, this is me, and this is my happy little circle, and I'm good. And I'm saved, and I'm okay. And that's okay. But we have left this out, and we wonder why the church isn't growing.
That's true.
Why the body in the kingdom is not growing? Because we have stopped fellowshipping. We have stopped breaking bread. We have stopped doing those things because we have come to a busy lifestyle. We all are. Yesterday was the last Saturday, really, that we have, and I'm not kidding you, people laugh. This morning we were pulling out and I said, well, yesterday was fun. We can do something like that again by Thanksgiving. Because we're busy. Band season is in full swing. And Brad's working, and the kids are going, and it's band 4 days a week after school because you've got games and competitions and drums, and that's the way it is. That's our life. But we still have to do that. So now I have to reevaluate my community and have a band community. Like I don't have enough bubbles on my bubble. I have to make a band community where we start to get people together. And we start to say, okay, the only time that we have now is time on a bus, time in the bleachers. You know that just like we do in church, we gravitate. I can look out every week and see who's here and know who's not here because we all gravitate to our signal spots, except Tim, who's like a bouncy ball the past few weeks. He's everywhere. He just sits on this side now because he feels bad on Wednesdays and he comes in and everybody's on that side. It looks like the loner.
Pray for everybody.
He came in one week and it was him, and all the other 30 people was on this side of the church. But we gravitate to one certain place, right?
That's true.
So when you pick the spot in the bleachers where you're going to be, when Val's at competitions with Hannah and she's in the bleachers, you're pretty much probably around the same people a lot of times, aren't you? Yeah, because we do it. So then we have to make that our community, and we have to take Jesus into that bubble right there. And relate that out. Because what are we doing? What are we doing? Personally, if it was me, if I'm in the bleachers, I'd be at the very top by myself with my cell phone, my drinks, my snacks, watching my kids, and I wouldn't talk to anybody. I really wouldn't. That is my fleshly personality. I don't care if I talk to people like that. I'll be friends with everybody, but I don't have to go out and feel like I have to go sit in the group and be in the crowd. I don't. I prefer to just watch my kids and talk to my other community on my cell phone while I'm there and let them all do their thing. But that's not how we add to the kingdom. That's not how we're doing. And I was going through, I think we were waiting at Old Mill yesterday, killing time. And I was going through my phone and I'm on Instagram and I'm looking, and Natalie Grant, I don't know if any of you follow her, but I love Natalie Grant. She's so real and so in love with Jesus. Not just about being on the stage and singing, but in love with Jesus. And she had a picture far off in her kitchen. And she was honoring her husband. And she was talking about what an amazing man of God he is. And she had this blurred out figure standing there at the counter beside her husband. And she was talking about how her husband, they brought a repairman into their house yesterday. And she's like, I feel so guilty because I was not called to the stage to minister the gospel. I was called to minister the gospel right here. And I have to remember that. Because she's like, I was eavesdropping, but I heard from a distance my husband so plainly presenting the gospel to a man who had walked into our house to repair something in our home. And he was in there and he was saying, okay, what's your life story? And he begins to ask this man about him. And he begins to talk about his wife and his kids. And he begins to share the gospel and the need for salvation and the need for a change in his life. And she's like, he spelled out the message of grace and forgiveness and the need to covering of sin so well. I am so ashamed. Because she's like, I get up and do it in front of, she performs in front of thousands and thousands and thousands of people a year. And yet she's so humbled by the fact that her husband has done his greatest ministry right there in the kitchen. That man walked into their community that day. Not knowing it, but he walked straight into the community because he was not focused on me and my kids. I'll let the repairman do his thing, and that's it. I'm done. That man walked straight into that door. And she's like, I don't know what he thought, but his life will never be the same after what was given to him. Yeah. And so here we are. I wrote this down somewhere. It's on my first page. I'm going to write it down. I want you guys to write this down. I'm not usually a write it down kind of girl. But I want you to write this down. If you can see it. And then it will come up. Community. The Lord just gave this to me, so I'm going to try to get it right. Is relationship. It's not just where you live, it's relationship. Through friendship and discipleship. Community is relationship through friendship. But it's not enough to have that because you can be friends with a whole lot of people and never once tell them about Jesus. Friendship and discipleship. If we're not ministering to the ones that we're with every day, if we're not talking about Jesus, if we had just went to Pigeon Forge yesterday and only talked about the food we were going to eat, which we did eat a lot and we did talk a lot. We started planning 3 weeks ago where we was going to eat and what we were going to do and what our route was going to be. I mean, we hit it hard, didn't we? We hit it hard. We left the ground, left our house at 4:30 yesterday morning and rolled in at 2 o'clock this morning. Just to go eat, just to have time together, just to make that time, to be very intentional of our time with one another yesterday. Do it with your family. Do it with your kids. I told Brad this morning, I would love to do this with our kids. One-on-one, just take time with them to build the relationship. Because you can present the gospel, but you can't truly disciple somebody you're not in a relationship with. The disciples were called disciples for a reason because they were right there with Jesus. They were right there in the midst of everything with him. They watched it, they saw it, they saw the good, the bad, the ugly. They wasn't just there whenever everything was happy-go-lucky and they were just walking through and everybody loved them, the crowds followed Jesus. They were there together when the storm hit. They were there together when Peter got a little brave and cut the soldier's ear off. Okay? It wasn't always pretty. It was not pretty when Jake and Alex was there. He is praying the most beautiful, heartfelt, sincere, humble prayer over us and blessing us, not just us, but our church. He prayed so humbly for our church. And my kids are fighting because Josh needs toilet paper and nobody wants to go get him toilet paper. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, they're never going to come to our house again. They are never ever going to want to do this. But letting people in to see the real stuff is what it's all about. When somebody walks in your house and they're like, oh, I didn't know you were coming, and well, there's trash overflowing in the kitchen, and the shoes are out everywhere, and stuff. It don't matter. It don't matter. Yes, honey, I know that's some excuse to not clean the house. I'm aware. The house will be clean. We do try. But there's times that life comes in and we want to be like, oh no, we can't bring you in our house today because our house is dirty. We can't bring you in, oh, please don't ride with me because I didn't clean my car out. You only probably ever go find my car really cleaned out. His you will, not mine. I found somebody's powdered candy all in my seat this morning from the middle row. What is that? There was candy all in my seat from the adults. Not the kids. Not the kids. Not the little kids or even Isaac and McKenna. From the adults. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We have allowed society to tell us we have to keep this pace and keep this much stuff on for our kids or they're not going to come out balanced. And we have to keep the clean house. We have to keep everything just so. We have to keep our people in check because the world's they're going to let you go. The world's going to neglect you. Everybody else is out to get you. So keep your people, and don't let anybody else in. But the Lord's saying, hey, it's time for community. Every time I think this now, I'm like, love, unity, community. Well, you can't have the community without the unity together. Okay? So we have to start working our bubble. We have to start being together. Why do you think we started these fellowship dinners once a month? It's not because we just want to, that's why they call it fellowship dinner. Because we want to do this. It's been on the hearts of the leadership to build the body that's right here. To get out, to have everybody back there sitting together and to be able to go around to the people that we don't usually sit with. Whoever's not sitting on your side of the church, we want to come over and sit with you when you're at lunch. Because we need to know each other. We need to know what's going on. If the same people came into your house every week and you didn't know anything about them, you didn't know anything about their life, you didn't have any idea what was going on, say that you have the same people come over every week for dinner. Every week. But you invite them to come over and you make a meal for them and you're like, we're going to do this. And they sit in the living room and you sit in the dining room. And you don't fellowship and you don't talk. What's the point? What's the point? What's the point of coming in together? Yeah, we're here because we're here to serve the Lord, but a church is a family. Okay? That's what these Acts 2, that was the church. They didn't have big established churches yet. Okay? It's not like later on when Paul's talking with the Corinthian church and Church of Thessalonica. It's not like that. This is the church. That's how the church was built. They built the church, the body grew, and they're like, there's too many of us. 4,000 people got saved yesterday. We probably can't go to their house. You can't take all 4,000, so they started breaking up into groups. That's why small groups are in churches. Okay? But when you're in a church of 50, you don't always need 5 small groups for every different age. You just small group it together in the sanctuary or in the fellowship hall, or you all hang out at one person's house. It's nothing for us to have 20 people at our house. A couple weeks ago, right up to work, there was 10 people, 5 cars, 5 of the people were kids, like they couldn't even drive. I'm like, our neighbors probably wonder what's going on because there's always somebody in and out of our house. When somebody knocks or rings the doorbell, I know it's a real visitor because everybody else just walks in. I mean, really. Logan came to our house one time and I cleaned. And I was like, okay, welcome to our home. I'm not cleaning for you again. So when you come in and there's trash everywhere or something, I'm not. This is how we are, you know. I'll clean up for the visitors to come. But I'm not going to do it. And when he came the second time, I'm like, Ansley, tell him to walk straight to the front door because I'm not getting up to answer the door for him. And I didn't, did I? I was like, you better just walk on in because I'm not doing it. A couple nights ago, he stayed on night, and I'm like, here's the key. He stayed with us before we could leave the night. Like, the key's outside. Brad said, he's living here. I don't know. He just walked right in. Found him asleep on the couch. The other ones asleep on the couch that morning. That's how you build community. You don't have to have people in your house, but you got to connect. You got to do that, and the Lord's calling us. I just see a circle, a bubble, over right here, over this place. But He said, I need this community to connect with this community. And I need the front people to connect with the back people. And the people in that group to connect with this group. Because that's how we're going to grow. That's how we're going to add souls to the kingdom. Because if I don't know what you're going through, if I can't help Tim, or if I can't help Becky, or if we can't help Sarah and Rick, If we can't do that and know what's going on with each other, then we're just a bunch of people out wandering around aimlessly, you know? And God didn't call the church to be the church for everybody to be off on their own. That's not it. And so here we are. We've got to figure out over the next, well, what now? We need to start now, today. Figuring out who is your community. Ask yourself, who is my community? That's one thing. When I started asking, I'm like, okay, who is my community, Lord? Okay, I know it's Brad and the kids. I know that you hear Kate and Josh and Ainsley and Logan and the ones in there that are with us all the time. That's our family. That's our community. Yes, your parents. Yes, your siblings. But who else are you reaching out to? You've got those certain people at work that you eat with or that you talk to. They're the ones. You know, if Brad and Timmy went to work and didn't know who their group was, or where their stuff is, or who their group leader, or if you didn't know what department you were in and you just kind of walked around and tried to just do every job that was there, you couldn't be effective. They couldn't be effective at their job if they just walked into Toyota and was like, Toyota's my community. Okay, well, pick a building. Well, I don't want to pick a building. Right? You don't get to just go in and show up on somebody else's line and say, okay, I'm going to be part of your community today. Or just walk in and just walk back out and act like you know what you're doing. That's not how it works. But yet, the Lord's saying that's not how church works either. He wants to bring us in, just bring us in over that one place, just under his wings, just under a covering, and say, let me build your community so that we can build the community.
That's right.
He wants to build the community inside us. You know, he went everywhere with the disciples. He went everywhere together. Like Brad said, he said, pick it up, let's go. Okay, I'll go, I'll follow. They ate together. I don't know who we were talking to. I was saying this one day. And I'm going to close up here in just a minute. But you know, in a group of only 12 people, if you sit and you don't get to pick the 12 people that you hang out with, there's going to be somebody in that group of 12 that you do not like. It's true. It's true. If you walk into a place and they say, this is your group, even with you when you're in school, the teacher says, I'm going to split you up, we're going to make two groups. So you think, please don't let so-and-so be in my group. Please don't let so-and-so be. Please don't let them be in my group. Y'all can act like you're holier than that. I don't care. I know that you're not, because we're people. We've all done it. We've all done it. And we think, please don't let them be in my group. And then they are, and they're like, oh, how to be in a group of so-and-so. My kids do it every week when they come home from school. And I know they do it at work. Somebody sits at a table. I don't. I get to do it quite a work with this. Yeah, work at home. So, I just pick the people that I like to be around. But you do it at your jobs. We do it. We come into church or we go into the places where our kids are playing sports and you think, I do not sit by that mom. They are crazy. That dad yells and cusses all the time. I don't want to be in their group. I don't want to be around them. And then you get stuck sitting by them because it's the only seat left and you're thinking, oh, please don't let them think that I'm sitting with them, because they are making an absolute fool of themselves. And yet, you know, Jesus walked through and picked 12 people with 12 different personalities. Peter and John were so different. Peter was just so gung-ho about it, and John just loved on Jesus all the time. Peter's like, hey, I'm your favorite, right? No, not John, not today. Not him. Why is he your favorite? I can just feel like Isaac. Why is he your favorite? Why do you like him more? Why do you... So you know that they were like that. Yes, Turdy. If y'all hear it, Turdy. Yes. We were going through all of your Vision 4 yesterday, and I hear, hey, Turdy. Hey, Turdy.
We tried that first, and then it was...
Isaac and McKenna, Isaac has ever so lovingly called me Turdy. He's almost 6, and now that's my name is, hey, Turdy. Turdy. So I'm walking through the store yesterday, talking about young people you don't like. Walking through Under Armour yesterday, and I'm just doing my thing, and I hear, hey, Turdy. I'm like, okay. And I look, and there's Kate, Josh, and Lion. I'm like, okay. Where's Ansley and Logan? All of a sudden, I'm walking through, I'm looking, and I hear, hey, Turdy. And they're at the the other end of the store. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, talk about being with people you think, please don't let them think that I'm with them. Please don't. It happens sometimes. But that's my community. And I picked them. But there's sometimes that we're like, listen, we all love each other, but there's sometimes we want to kill each other. There's sometimes we don't like what the other has going on. But that doesn't mean they're no longer in my community. We have that in the church. We have that in our circles. We have that in our groups. Just because we all don't get along, I promise you all the disciples didn't get along. We'll get to heaven. I'm going to ask them. I'll show you. I guarantee you they didn't. Somebody made a comment, well, one was probably Judas. He was probably the one everybody liked. He wanted to make everybody happy.
Paul and Barnabas had to go separate ways.
Yeah. I mean, there comes a time where you have to do it. But that was their community. And so let the Lord show you who is your community. And it doesn't just have to be Christians. Okay? I'm not saying just have your community with Christians. Invite people into your community. Listen, my community right here, I can bring any sinner that I want, any drug addict, any alcoholic, anybody that I want right here into my community, because that's where I'm going to present Jesus to them. However, their community over here that sits around and does drugs all night, that has the parties and they're always drinking and they're the ones that you know are out doing their thing, invite them to come to your house for the community. Don't go hang out there all the time, okay? Watch who your community is, because who you surround yourself with is a direct reflection of who you are. Who you choose to surround yourself with is a direct reflection of who you are, because we gravitate to people who are like us. So if you look at your little community, if you look at your circle and all they're doing is fussing and feuding and fighting, and they're out sinning, and the ones are out and they're always going back to the same lifestyle of sin, not a temptation, not a mess up, but the same lifestyle of sin, you might need to check your community a little bit. You may need to reevaluate things a little bit. But if you're out and you can see that, bring the lost to you. Invite them to come into your house. Okay? Make that part of your group. Show them the things. Don't walk into their place and just throw yourself out there like that. Your new group, your new friends that you hang out with, your new people. Minister to them, love on them, but do it on your terms, that you can present Jesus. And you're right there, and you're not just exposing yourself to all that. It'll drag you down. It will drag you down, but that's where we are right now. And what God's calling us to do is through love with one another and unifying ourselves together as the body, but to build the community in here first. We can't be nearly as effective out there if we don't have the community built together in here. Okay? Jesus wants his people, what's the saying, to be thick as thieves. Isn't that the old saying? The church people fuss, fight, and don't like each other and don't talk to each other. But you get a bunch of sinners together, I don't care what they're doing. This group down here meets this group up there, and suddenly there's one big band of, how do you think gangs form? It was one big band of people going crazy because they love each other. They're there for each other. They're right there beside each other. They're partying together. They're doing their thing. And yet here we are at the church, reading our Bible by ourselves at home, doing our little thing because we've had a busy week and we want our downtime, our quiet time. I like my quiet time. But he's calling us to be that thick with each other and to build our community and to uplift one another and to be the ones, just like in Acts 2, that eats together, that would sell it all for each other to make sure that nobody had a need. And that's how the kingdom grew. Let's all be standing. Lord, I thank you for the word that you have placed so deeply inside me this week. I thank you, Father, for what it is that you are wanting to show us as the body, as a family together, as friends, Lord, just as your sons and daughters. Lord, I pray that you would just begin to just show us, Father, that our eyes and our ears would be open to hear you and to see you this week. Through this word, that we would begin to get the revelation of what it is that you're wanting to reveal in our hearts and our lives. Father, I pray that you would touch each and every heart that's here, Father, that they would just take this time, Father, that they would just draw in so much closer to you. No matter what level they're on, Father, Lord, whether they're a new Christian, whether they're just now getting the understanding of who you are, Lord, they haven't accepted you yet, or Lord, whether it be the one who's been serving you the longest. I pray that you would just bring us to a new place in you this week. That you would call us and draw us closer than ever before. And God, that we would respond to you. That we would build the kingdom through building our community. And that we would love those beside us. And that we would serve together. Father, have your will and your way in this house. We honor you. And we bless you together. We worship you together as a family. God, I just want to honor you. I just want to worship you just for a moment. I just want to worship you. Tell you how good you are. Father, thank you. Here I am to worship. Here I am to bow down. Here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. I'll never know how much it costs to see my sins upon that cross. I'll never know how much it costs to see my sins upon that cross. So here I am to worship. Here I am to bow down. Here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. Does anybody have a need they need prayer for this morning? Anything at all before we move on and dismiss? Do anything else that you need to announce or do? I do know we've been forgetting to announce the food pantry. The food pantry again this month is just going to be soup. So if you can still bring in soup over the next couple of weeks.